all my returning patrons, of course, and all my new patrons. Really glad to have you guys here. Thank you guys so much for chiming in today. So we do have a very, very special video today, guys, and what we will be covering today. So for those who may not be aware, we have our infrastructure bill here in the United States being passed for $1 trillion in terms of upgrading our existing infrastructure in the United States, going from, internet integration for higher speeds to roadways, railroads, everything that is just going to fall under the infrastructure category. And with the rise and adoption of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, that also includes us being squeezed into this bill. So if you guys are not familiar about what's going on around the states or outside of the states, this has been anticipated. We've known, if you've been in the crypto space for quite a while, that regulation was almost inevitable, and this was something that we knew was coming, and we knew it was coming quick. We've seen the adoption, the rise, the falls, the hardship, the good days, the green days, the red days, fall out throughout this market cycle. And now we are getting another battle on another front in terms of regulation. So we've talked about regulation, and there's good regulation and there's bad regulation. And I'm going to make this video as both neutral and as optimistic as I can, as there is a lot of fright and fear. And of course, from my end, I am not fearful, but it is something that is going to be a major kind of low blow, gut blow, if this does become implemented as to what the bill does say on it. So we're going to dive into that, and we're going to go over that as to how that is going to affect us moving forward, how it's going to affect us now, the decisions of our higher up legislative branch in terms of our senators, and we're kind of just really going to talk about it and just try to clear up the best we can and just kind of give the education of further understanding. So first off, really, really important to really dive in is that please call your senators. So you might have seen this before, but depending where you live, you could just go to senator.gov. Here, let me post this in the chat for you guys. It might go straight to AZ though, just because that's where I am, but you can of course find your state and do this. So we'll give you your state representatives. Give them a call, give them an office call. I already done this. Give them a ring and just say, hey, the infrastructure bill regarding the cryptocurrency and blockchain acquisitions of hindering innovation, and we're going to go over what this bill really does mean. But you can give them a ring anywhere where you live. Just make sure you don't call your wrong branch, and explain to them how this is going to hinder innovation. This is not something that can be just implemented in our systems. This breaks pretty much the code law in terms of what they're trying to do. So just make sure you guys, if you guys have time, just make sure that's something, if that's important to you, you get that done, just because that's gonna help us a ton. And these guys they have to record every single message that's brought to them from their Senate. So if you call, they have to mark that down legally for obligations. So this is ours, for anyone. I know some of you guys are mostly AZ, so give a contact to, if you're in Tucson, give this office a call down here in Tucson. And for Kristen Cinema, Kristen Cinema, I think that's her, give her a call for Phoenix and leave her a message or talk to whoever's there and kind of just give your 30-second case and to why you think this is upset. But of course, we'll go into this further and show you guys why this is such a big deal. So sorry for the pay ad blocker, but for just mentioned, we have a $1 trillion infrastructure bill pours money into long delayed needs. So this bill is 2,702 pages long. I don't know if you saw the picture on Twitter. I couldn't find the actual picture of the guy of the man sitting outside the government office. And it's like, guys, this stack is like from the floor, like up to my desk. Like, it's huge. And the real problem with this is that usually when this happens, and there's a couple things that's wrong with this, is that we get the long bill of 2,702. The bill that is going to hinder our innovation in this space is about 1.5 pages or a page being slipped into a 2,702 page bill, going very little unnoticed in terms of that fat of a stack. When you have that big of a stack, it's so little. A page and a half is nothing compared to that. And really where this becomes a challenge and where it frustrates me is that the last minute implementations. So it's not like this was something that was talked about and then, sat in the stack for a year or two. This was something that was just edited within this week. So they're making explicit changes to the overall laws of how this is going to be governed and how we're going to be moving forward with KYC delegations, what is considered a broker in terms of the eyes of the United States law being validator of proof of stake, but proof of work was left alone in terms of this bill, which is very, very odd. So we will continue to cover this further, but sorry for the ad blocker, but I just wanted to show this up here that this is a 2,702 long page bill for this project. So, and also, with that being said, we hopped over to Twitter real quick. Jack Trivanovsk, a lawyer here over at, let me double check what he does, where he's at. So he's at Compound Finance and Block Aneurysm, another educational blockchain source. And just a quick reminder, he does some tweets, and a lot of legal representatives of the crypto space have come forward and kind of just broken down this even further. A quick explainer as to what with the infrastructure bill last night. We were on track to pass the limited Loomis-Toomey amendments to fix the worst issues with the bill, and the senators Rob Portman and Mark Warner came out of nowhere to blow it up. And that's exactly what we were talking about in the last talk, or in the last tab, is that this was an edit that took 2 days for somebody to collectively do. And when you have, and we talked about this also, is that when we have issues of our average senator is about 62 to 65 years old, you are not going to go to your grandmother and ask her, hey, what new iPhone should I buy for the best specifications, or what PC should I build with the right GPU to get maximum performance. Those just aren't questions you're going to ask your legislative branch and people who do not understand the technology. So it frustrates me in terms of these guys are making laws and passing, not only just laws, but I don't like to cuss on here, but half-ass laws in terms of not being clear enough as to what they need from us. So as we continue this moving forward, we're going to get into what this bill actually covers from Cynthia Loomis. She's the Wyoming state governor, and she was the first, if you guys remember quite a while ago, she did the coverage of the first ever DAO, Decentralized Autonomous, DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organization for Wyoming, being the first state to legalize that. And she has her comments to say, we need you please to call your senators, please tweet, please email. We are facing major headwinds of the Wins-Loomis-Toomey Amendment, bury financial innovation and red tape, and sending devs plus miners on info collection wild goose chase for info they don't have is horrible policy. So let's actually cover this policy and see exactly what they are actually asking from us. So the definition of a broker: nothing in the section amendments made by this section shall constructed to create interface that Person described Section 6045 of the International Revenue Code of 1986 as addition by this section, including any person solely engaged in business of validating distributed ledger transactions, selling hardware or software which the sole function to permit person-to-person private keys which are used to access digital assets on distributed ledger, or developing digital assets or their corresponding protocols for the use by other pronouns, providing that such other persons are not customers of the person developing such asset or protocols. So what that basically means is that they are taking a huge jab at proof of stake and overall delegation of exchanges. So let's really get into the meat of this, is that they are leaving proof of work alone. So all of our miners, mining farms, those using GPUs, algorithms to mine proof of work functionalities to mint these cryptocurrencies are being left alone. But when you start moving over to the proof of stake, the validator, and I'm going to do a visual example so my visual learners can get this as well, is that this is where we really have an issue, is that when you implement KYC, know your customer, into validator nodes. So for myself, this is where it becomes very challenging, is that if you do participate in running validator nodes, or this is something that you play in liquidity pools, decentralized finance, DEXs, they are basically telling you that if you conduct this of being in a DeFi pool, anything with validator nodes of proof of stake, that includes DeFi as well, that you are actually being labeled as a broker, which I believe is ridiculous. So we are being put in the same loop as centralized crypto exchanges. So that means I technically am a broker. So that means I am liable, just like Coinbase is, to know my customers and know people who are participating in my liquidity pool and other projects and protocols. And this goes under developers as well. So that means us developers for innovation who are making these hyperledger blockchains and conducting supply chain and other projects to implement these blockchain technology in this already existing infrastructure for businesses, we are going to have to basically break our number one rule in terms of how we are going to, govern our KYC. And they are basically putting the same heat on us for basically being a broker. And it just doesn't make sense. And this is where the real confusion comes, is that, how in the world are we going to implement these protocols when that's just not possible? If you guys have ever used all our liquidity pool, tutorials, all our DeFi tutorials, all our Aave, Compound, everything that just goes down in terms of how we run these protocol pools. There is, and trying to find the best way to put this, that there is no way that, and sometimes you have thousands of people per pool, and you have people moving so quickly in and out, people staying there for an hour, 2 hours, delegate funds, move funds. You have liquidity providers who take out their liquidity, run multiple pools, have multiple pools across different networks of different protocols, different blockchains. It becomes to the point now where it's a rabbit chase that is something that can't be done. It can't be done. It's not built into the protocol for us to pull KYC from decentralized finance. If you've been following this channel, you know what a decentralized ledger is. You know what a ledger system holds: immutable, full trust, and transparency. This is something that it's very challenging, and I know I'm sounding like this is like game over for crypto, and it's not. It is just something that is very, very unsettling and annoying. That's really as simple as that. You're leaving people with their, not livelihood, but you're leaving people with so many questions for it, literally, like Cynthia Loomis said, a wild goose chase in terms of how they are going to comply with this. And this is something that is really just going to set us back in terms of innovation. If this does pass, and they're voting on this weekend, so we're hoping on Saturday that there can be, some tweaks, and that maybe some governors and some other people can step up, and, like we've been seeing on Twitter and, the news, that they can come forward and say, hey, maybe someone who's just got better knowledge of being able to present to these guys. It's just tough because we can't get us developers, and, maybe if we're not government related, or we don't have government ties, it's hard for us to get to these guys and even, give our side of the opinion and how this is not possible in terms of, disrupting our innovation. And, these guys just don't understand, that is something that is pretty much impossible to do. So let's really get back to the articles. I just kind of break that. We're going to do a little drawn presentation as well, but Jake Shafensky continues to say, no question, we're taking this to court if this passes, but don't forget, it still has to get through the House, even if we lose the battle this week. This is some other good news on that side. I've just been getting emails and texts from friends and family and other coworkers about how we are going to, basically what's going on. I know people are sweating bullets right now. I know I'm sweating a little bit, just in terms of, that means that's going to change the whole course of how we're going to govern the rest of this year. For those who don't know, I'm a software engineer for the Solidity Foundation, or not Solidity Foundation, but I work with Solidity Protocol. So I work with this protocol on a daily basis. I use this technology every day, helping business get integrated and so on, and consulting. So then, I run teams, of course, for not only just coding camps, but other things along those lines for consulting. It's upsetting. It's upsetting that the power of our guys, they want to control so much, and they will do everything they can, including hindering innovation and moving forward. They would rather have us be behind on the innovation game and the technical game versus I wouldn't even say competition, but versus other countries. We are extremely behind in terms of integration, regulations, laws, and so on. And it's just it's very upsetting to see that people just don't want to lose power. And we've talked about it too, that these big central bank guys, why would your main competition tell you about an upcoming other avenue that will replace them in the future and take a good amount of market share? Why would company A promote company B, that company B is going to steal market share from them? They're not. They're going to do the complete opposite. They're going to learn about company B. They're going to get those secrets and information. They're going to get their foundation settled, and then they are going to allow to push foundation B, and then therefore continue to do your thing. And then it just doesn't make any sense for them to, and that's why they're doing this. That we understand why this is happening. They're losing power. We completely understand that, and that's something that has not been that's not been hidden at all. So we have things will be very we'll even cover markets while we're on here today, and we can do that as well. We'll look at market prices real quick before we hop off, but the market just doesn't care. So if anything, we're testing levels for blast off zone in terms of some degree. So on this, guys, call your senators, read up on some information, share all these things I've talked about, and just for informational standpoint, so what's going on. Like I said, this is not a game over thing at all, but this is just something that does not, it stinks, it hurts, and it sucks, but this is not game over. This is a battle that we just have to fight on another front. and we will continue to do so like we have been for all these years. So, and even just give a visual representation. So let's just say, use my validator node. So let's say TM node, that's just for prime example. So, and then we can have, let's say we are connected to, let's just say our blockchain is, let's just do the Cosmos atom for this. So I am running a liquidity pool, and we have all these branches, and let's even get more advanced, because this is really how advanced it gets. And all these branches are connected to separate different entities, other wallet addresses and other liquidity pools and other people providing liquidity to my staking pool. So as a proof of stake validator node, I need to know. So this, okay, so I'm going to start putting numbers, and numbers are going to represent people just to save them some time. 2, 3, every line I'm going to count as a person that is either interacting with my protocol or is not that is interacting with my protocol and doing something in terms of liquidity here. And if you guys don't understand liquidity pools or what I'm talking about, go back and watch my latest video of our DeFi farm and other pretty much me explaining DeFi and how this is really constructed. So all these individuals now have to have KYC, knowing your customer. And so what happens when, let's go even deeper now, where we now are moving other liquidity pools, and let's say person 1 now wants to move half their funds to my other stake node, right? So my other validator, TM2 or TMH, let's just do that for examples. So now you have all these moving pieces, and it's going to get a little messy here because this is how it is. You have all these immutable pieces of information being moved to different pots of the pie and different pieces here, and you guys can see, you guys are picking up what I'm putting down now to the fact of how in the world is this going to be, how it's very frustrating, and I've got a lot of reading to do, and we've got a lot of work meetings and stuff going on, but I definitely wanted to hop on here first and give you guys the first kind of the first glance of how we're going to be doing this. But this is just, you could just tell this is a messy example, and you can be like, yo, Trent, I don't even know what you're freaking drawing right now, man. And honestly, yeah, I know what I'm drawing, but could you imagine how much difficult it is for a developer to even go back and do these receipts and look at things like this? Some people have thousands of wallets that are connected to them, just them solely, and some wallets make new wallet addresses every time you do a new transaction for security protocols. So these guys need a real reality check of how this is not implemented, and I just wanted you guys to see this because this is just, this is the best example I could really give that for us moving forward. So like I said, guys, the market does not seem to care at all. This is just another battle we have on the forefront that we just got to deal with. I'm just super annoyed just for the fact that, you just got people who just refuse to acknowledge the innovation and all the pros and cons of this technology and just really want to hinder it in terms of how we're going to move forward, because they do understand that this will decouple them and give them a little bit loss of market share. So it ultimately is just selfish, upper hand government control. And we're really pulling a China 2.0. We are forcing our developers, our miners, and other individuals to leave this country to go pursue their passions and their innovation elsewhere. And it just doesn't make any sense to me as to why they would pull, something like this. Try to pull a fast one, and I know what they're trying to do here, because that's exactly what they're doing. It's like I said, guys, it's not like this law was implemented we've been working on this for a year, but the changes were made to this. The change that we saw right here, this change was made 3 days ago. So it was just a little slip in, and someone probably just said, hey, let's slip this into 1,695, and let's just have that signed off, because guys, that's a 2,705 pages. How do you really think they are reading through? I know they probably are, but do you really think effectively they are going to read through 2,705 pages effectively and really work print for print and understand exactly what they're reading and sign off truthfully on what they understand? No, that's not exact. No, that's not what. That's just not what's happening. So definitely want to give you guys the first inside scoop. Like I said, guys, not worried. Let's continue to move forward. We will be here, and I will keep giving the news updates like I can. Market's doing great, and we will see how this weekend plays out. It may get a little choppy this weekend. We will see. I'm hoping for the best, but if not, we will continue the fight. Just like if you guys want to give Jack a follow. Give Jake a follow on his Twitter, and he's a great lawyer, and he gives really good updates in terms of what's going on and how we can continue to do this. But call your senators, share this with friends or family, like and subscribe if you like this information, and let's keep rolling forward, guys. Alrighty, guys, have a great weekend. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.